Hey guys, what is up? I'm super excited for today's Bring Flow to Your Spring Season workshop. And I have some special guests today. Kim and Cathy are here to treat us with a little bit of astrology and wellness and structure and routine. And that would be my YouTube channel, talking to us. So I'm going to mute it on that end. Okay. And we're still going.
Yes. We're still here.
So Kim is going to actually kick us off today, and she is an astrologist and a stone medicine practitioner. Is that correct? Did I nail that? Woo!
Yeah.
And then a yoga instructor, and she is going to be talking to us about how astrology relates to the seasons and how we can apply it to our wellness routine. And I'm actually super interested in this. I do not know much about it, so I'm going to let you take it away, Kim.
All right. Cool. Well, thanks, everybody. It's really great to be with you. And again, my name's Kim Galbraith. I have a little side hustle called Northbone, northbone.com, north-bone.com. But if you just Google Northbone, it'll come up because what an unusual name. But I can't get into that today. I've got to talk to you guys about this astrology thing because I always get like different levels of looks, shall we say, when I say I'm an astrologer and somebody that works with rocks and plants and dogs. But I'm going to tie it all together for you today. So I want to talk to you specifically about like seasonal astrology and how you can use that to sort of work into your regular routine, your fitness routine, your wellness routine. Because there is a natural flow and a circadian rhythm that we have been following since civilization began. We all pay attention to when the sun rises and sets, and that tells us when to go to sleep and when to wake up. We don't always listen to it, but basically that cue is there for us every single day. And then and along with that, we have a natural flow to the planets, which aligns with the seasons and the zodiac signs. So, for instance, we just kicked off Aries season on the 20th, and Aries is a fire sign, and it's an initiator sign. So when we get to spring, like we get this sort of like spring energy, right? And learning how the flow of the zodiac is laid out helps you to move through your day, your week, your planning for your goals, your workouts. If there's a day that's really like there's a lot of tension in the skies going on, that may be a day when you need to do yoga, right? And not do any other workout. If there's a day where there's like high energy up there, that may be, hopefully that's the day you pick to run a marathon. Cathy didn't run a marathon, let me clarify, but she did run this morning. So, hopefully that's a day where you have something on your plate where you really need to push through it. So again, we just started Aries season, and basically each zodiac sign has attributes attached to it that correlate with the seasons. It's crazy. So when you think about it, we have two equinoxes, right? We have the spring equinox and we have the fall equinox. And that is when the light and dark is equal for our planet. And, not to get too technical, but it has to do with the tilt of the earth and the whole seasonal thing. But it also, that's how the ancient civilization kind of knew when things were happening. Like, oh, okay, it's spring. Well, how do we know it's spring? Oh, well, we have the same amount of light and dark. Okay, it must be close to spring, kind of thing, right? And the planets have this pattern to them so that they're tracking along the same lines. So for instance, like I mentioned, Aries is a fire sign, right? So we start out gangbusters in the spring, and then we move into Taurus season, which is a stabilizing part of the season. So that's the middle of the season, and it's a stable sign. It's one of those like, endurance signs, like get it done. At the end of the season, we have Gemini, and Gemini is a mutable sign. And so it's an adaptable sign because we have to get ready for the next seasonal change, which happens when Cancer comes along, right? And then Cancer kicks off the summer. And that's another cardinal sign. So there's all these attributes and elements associated with each sign that kind of play into the season. And, in case you're wondering like how to incorporate astrology into your day or your life, and it seems like one of these kind of woo things, right? It's really not. It's been around for a long time. Matter of fact, I look at, when I read charts, I use ancient astrology, which has been around forever, early Greek times. It's based on a lot of the Greek mythology, which I find fascinating and interesting in terms of what deities were assigned to signs and where that kind of mythology comes from. But it's really not myth. It was used. That's what people were using. They were looking at the stars and the planets and tracking it, and certain events would happen. I mean, you can go back in history and look at astrology if you're really like one of those scientific types that wants proof. And you can see where there were certain planetary alignments and, stuff went down. So it is real. I also look at medical astrology. I think it was 1666. Up until that point, every physician had to know astrology because it was the beginning of a diagnosis tool. So they would look at the person's sun sign, their moon sign, their rising sign, certain other placements in what's called the houses of astrology, not knowing, what you guys are familiar with. Maybe you're super familiar with this, but just sort of introducing you to the concept. So each house governs a certain part of your life. So the planets are kind of like when they're placed in certain houses and signs, it's indicative of, personality traits. It could be medical stuff. So it's very interesting. And it sounds complicated, but it doesn't need to be. It can be simple. You can start really small. There's an app that I use on my phone that tells me what my day is going to be like. Like if my husband wakes up and he is grumpy, the first thing I do is look at the app and go, oh, okay, so he has this planet squaring his natal planet. And then I can be a little bit more understanding and not so hard on him. So that's how I kind of incorporate it into my everyday life. I want to tell you a really quick story about last weekend and why I'm kind of like sick right now, because you're like, oh, wellness person sick. We do get sick. We really do. But I've been on a roll and I've been really healthy. But last weekend we had a solar eclipse in Aries. It was a new moon. So anytime the moon and the sun get together, it creates that new moon, right? And then on top of it, when the equinoxes hit, because of the equality in the light and the dark and the position of the moon relative to the earth, that is when eclipse season starts. And you'll hear astrologers talk about, eclipses, eclipse that. What is it? Well, it just amplifies the energy to a greater degree. So we had a new moon in Aries on 3/29, which was last Saturday. Last Thursday, I received a phone call from my son who was completely panicked. We have 2 puppies that are 9 months old. They're sisters and litter mates. They're rescue dogs. And his dog is very sensitive. Well, what happened was, and I'll make a long story short, is she got lost in the Santa Monica Mountains, and the naval base across the street was doing artillery drills, and it scared her and she took off, and she was out in the wilderness for 62 hours. And we spent the night in our cars with the doors open. We enlisted the help of a wonderful rescue search and rescue organization called Dog Days Rescue, and they helped us figure out like what our strategy was going to be. But the bottom line is this: we had to communicate with, her name's Bree. We had to communicate with Bree on a woo level. Like, she couldn't hear us. There were waves crashing across the street because that's where the ocean is. Right across there's PCH, all the traffic, and then all the people hiking, and the energy of the eclipse just added to that. I don't know if you've ever gone out for like an eclipse and viewed it. The last solar eclipse that I really witnessed was in October of I think it was 2023. And I walked outside and not a bird was chirping, no noise at all from the animals. They pick up on that. And we think that Bree was experiencing a lot of confusion and didn't know how to get back to us because the dog people kept saying, wow, we can't believe she hasn't been down with the car. And what would happen is she would come down, we'd see her, she'd see us, and she'd take off because they go into this fight or flight response. But what we did was I looked at the astrology, I looked at her chart, I set up a healing grid for her with crystals, and we talked to her on another level, and she came back to us. It was nothing short of a miracle how she came back to the car, but we just kept telling her, Bree, come back to the car, come back to the car. But looking at her chart, I was able to see what was going on with the planets and why she was confused. It had to do with the placement of of the current Mercury retrograde didn't help either, because we're going through that right now. I'm sure you heard of that. So she was confused. She was very confused, and she needed help, and she needed help that was outside of what we experience and communicate with most of us on a daily basis, which we can only react to our environment, right? But this is beyond the environment. And so I hope that when you finish this stream that you'll join me and sign up for my email. I will send you a guide. So this is one of the little graphics in the guide, but I will send you a complete guide to the spring situation for everyone. So there's two ways to look at astrology. Your personal blueprint is your natal birth chart, and you can look at what's happening in the current environment and then check that into your natal chart, and it can really help you navigate some really difficult situations like we had last weekend. Yes, I did get sick, but it was cold and my door was open. So there was that environmental factor, if you will. So anyway, at the end, Lindsay, who's the expert in all this technology stuff, I'm not that good at it. She's going to post up all of her information. So I hope you join me and reach out and start your astrology journey or take it further wherever you're at. So Lindsay's up next. Yoga!
Thank you so much, Kim. That was lovely. And I don't know as much, obviously, as you, as astrology. I just know like the basics. So that was really interesting. And one thing that you said that resonated a lot with me is from the fitness perspective, and a bit of, I'm a yogi, more like spiritual wise, is a lot of people always ask me for like a fitness plan or routine. And I truly do not follow one because I try to listen instinctively to my body, to what it wants. And I'm learning, especially as I'm getting older, like if you push and it's telling you not to, it's not good. Like bad things happen. So that I don't really know how to translate that yet in my career, but eventually I'll figure that out because I'm trying to teach people like it's better. And you can, this goes with Cathy, you'll stay more consistent when you just, you commit to like, I'm going to move today, but I'm going to move instinctively to what my body is saying. Like, okay, that's the push today. And that could be a walk, that could be stretching, that could maybe just be breathing. And then there's other days where it's like, oh no, I'm ready. So I really loved what you said about that. And I'd love to hear even more about that. So you'll be hearing from me with that.
Absolutely. Let's do this.
So guys, I am going to take you through I'm going to maximize myself. I'm going to be taking you guys through a springtime yoga flow. And when I was thinking about this class, I thought about that saying like, April showers bring May flowers. And it had me thinking a lot about roots. So we're going to be focusing a lot about the feet, a lot on the feet today, and how to root and ground through the feet. So we'll be talking about some balance, some stability, and we'll be stretching and mobilizing the feet a lot. So you don't need anything. If you have like yoga blocks and stuff and you like props, sure, grab them. But otherwise, we are going to get this little yoga flow going, starting standing up. Most of this routine will be standing, by the way. So guys, we're going to take a Tadasana, a nice and wide Tadasana at the front of our mat. So you're going to have your toes pointing straight forward. You're going to lift up through your core and tilt your tailbone down behind you. So we're creating some length in the lower back and lift through the belly. And I just want you to feel into your feet. So taking a moment to notice it in your own body. And we're going to try to find some evenness here in the feet. So typically, we have a little bit of imbalances throughout our body. So let's shift the body weight forward and back from the toes to the heel. And just feel a little rocking sensation. And then you're going to come right to the center of the foot. So hopefully creating some balance between the front and the back of the foot. Now I'm going to have you go side to side, shifting from the right to the left foot. So a little bit more weight into the right foot, a little bit more weight into the left foot. And feel the surface beneath your foot. And then we're bringing our body to center. Maybe we have some tingling sensations in our feet or a little bit more awareness of the sole of our foot. Because I mean, how often do we think about the bottom of our foot? So from here, I want you to lift your toes up and then spread them apart like a fan. Think of when you go to the nail salon and they put that little like toe wedge to create space between your toes. You're doing that for yourself. Create a lot of space. And now press the toes back into the floor. Okay, let's do that a couple times. So lift the toes up. So the ball of the foot is down. It's like the base knuckle of the toe is planted and just the toes are pointing up towards the kneecaps. Then fan the toes apart, create a lot of space between each toe. And then press the toes back to the floor. Let's take it again. So peel the toes up. They're pointing towards the ceiling. You can firmly feel the knuckles of the toes down. And then create that space through the toes. And now we're going to roll the toes. So from your pinky toe, you're going to press the pinky toe, second toe, third toe, big toe down. Let's put it together 2 more times. Lift the toes, spread them apart, and then roll the toes down from the smallest to the biggest. Last one. Lift the toes, spread, create a lot of space, roll the toes, and plant. Okay, so feel into the toes, push down through the feet and lift up through the spine. Let's take a big breath in, reaching the arms overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. And then exhale, first forward bend of class. Put a bend in your knees, dive down, let the upper body hang heavy. Inhale, slide your hands all the way up to your thighs. Push your thighs back and your chest forward. Then lift your toes up like we did with the start. Spread them apart and fan the toes as you roll them back to the mat. Exhale, forward bend, let it hang. Bend the knees more, roll up through your back, use your core to restack the spine. Walk the feet hips distance, so heels right under the hips. We're going to take this into a little bit of balance. If you need to modify, please feel free to use a wall or a chair. Tightening through our core, draw your right leg up to a hover to tabletop. Push down through your left foot and feel that same type of grounding that we worked with. We don't want to be too far forward, too far back, too far right, or too far left. We want to be right in the center of that left foot so we can ground the left foot down and lift up through the rest of the body. We're creating roots so we can grow up. We're going to take a big step back, stepping the right toes back, tucking the toes under, and pushing back through the ball of the foot, creating a huge stretch in the arch of the foot, finding our crescent lunge. Okay, slowly shifting back onto the left foot, draw the right leg up into tabletop. Root down through the left foot to grow up through the spine. Let's taking that again. You're going to step your right foot back, high crescent lunge, and drive your thigh back, helping to create that big stretch in the right arch of the foot. Taking that one more time, draw the right leg forward, ground through the left, step the right foot back, press through the right thigh. Good. Stepping yourself back to the front of the mat, Tadasana. Exhale, forward fold, bending the knees, drop the head, Uttanasana. Slide the palms to the shins and push your shins back, sternum forward. Lift and spread the toes apart. Roll the toes down and flow the spine back down, forward bend. Bend the knees, roll it up, restack. Take a big breath in, stretch up. Exhale, hands to the heart. We're going to take that all on side 2. So this time, rooting down through the right foot, the left leg draws up to tabletop. Maybe you put your hands on a chair or a wall. So feel into this supporting foot right now. You're driving the foot down, and that's helping us grow up. Lift the front of the right thigh, lift the belly, finding our balance and stability here. And we're going to take the left leg back this time for crescent lunge. Left toes tuck behind us, straightening through the left thigh, press back, and stretching through our toes, really pressing through right where the ball of the foot touches the floor on that left foot. Okay, slowly shifting the weight forward to the right leg, drawing the left leg to tabletop and holding here. Ground down to lift up. Think of getting taller through the right hip. I always call this a grocery store hip, where you kind of like hang out in the waiting line with bad form. Pull up out of that. Step the left toes back, crescent lunge. One more time through, pull the left leg up, tabletop. Last one, stepping the left toes back, stretch the arches of the feet. Stepping forward, find Tadasana, feet hips distance. Put a bend in the knees, folding it down, forward bend, Uttanasana. Slide the palms to the shins. Inhale, halfway lift, spread the toes, lift them up. Roll them to the mat and fold the spine back down. Rolling all the way up, big breath in, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands to the heart. Okay, we're gonna add on, making it a little bit more difficult. You could always keep the right leg bent and tabletop if this feels like too much. Flexing the right foot, sweep it forward up to about hip height. Sink the right outer hip down. I want you to think of pushing energy through both soles of your feet. Like a pendulum, sweep the right toes back, step back, crescent lunge. Shifting on to the left foot with a straight right leg, sweep it forward. Drive out through the bottoms of the feet and lift up through the torso. Sweep the right leg back, tuck the toes, big breath in. Okay, one more time, sweeping the right leg forward and feel a lift as you drive the energy throughout the heels. Sweep the right toes back, crescent lunge. Step it forward, find Tadasana with the feet hips distance apart. Flex the right toes up so the heel is down, the toe is lifted. Bend your left knee. Coming down into a forward bend, grab on to your right toes with your right hand and pull the foot up. Twist your chest to the right, looking over the right shoulder. Ooh, nice stretch here. Good. Coming through center, put a little bend in both knees, release the right foot, shake it out. Palms to shins, inhale, halfway lift. Nice long spine, lift the toes up, spread them apart, roll them to the mat. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, stretch up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Good, we're taking our last standing sequence here over on the left leg. So either the left leg is bent or it can be straight. We're lifting out of the right foot, flex the left foot. Lift the left leg up to hip height. You can feel a lot of energy draw up the front of the leg through the thigh, drive out through the heel, creating that opposition. Slowly, like a pendulum, sweep the left leg back, tuck the toes, Front knee bend, back leg straight. Finding our crescent lunge. Shifting onto the right foot, ground down. Sweep the left leg straight through. Using our core and spine muscles to lift that leg up. Sweep the left foot back, crescent lunge. Last one, sweep the left leg forward to balance. Sweep the left leg back, crescent lunge. Stepping forward, find Tadasana with your feet hips distance. Flex the left toes up, even more of the toes, like the whole foot. Bend the right knee. Coming down, grab the bottom of the left foot with the left hand and pull the toes up. Twist the upper body to the left. Draw the left hip crease back. Nice big stretch in the left side of the lower back. Good. Release the foot with the hand. Plant the foot down and forward bend. Palms to shins. Inhale, flat back. Lift the toes. Spread them apart. Roll them to the floor. Forward bend. Inhale to rise. As you lift the arms up, we're going to lift the heels up. Balls of the feet heavy, finding a balance here. To challenge yourself, you could look up towards the ceiling. Try to find an evenness between the big toe to the first toe. And then exhale, heels down. That's always a good challenge. Okay, we're going to take this towards the floor. Bring the legs together. So we're going to go into our yogi toe balance. So legs are together, heels are going to be lifted. And we're just nice and slowly going to bend the knees. They're going to go forward over the toes. We're going to slowly bring this down towards the floor, trying to create that stability in the ankle joint. Okay, knees are in line with the hips, and we're sitting on the heels. Slowly, with control, lower the knees to the floor, and now we're in the arch of the foot stretch. This is going to be more intense than the one we started with, but hopefully we're warm enough to handle it. Remember, if it's too much, you can be off the toes. Okay, untuck your toes. Take a seat on the heels, stretching the tops of the feet. Lift up. Again, tuck the toes. Option to sit on the heels. Good. So I'm going to show this from the back. You're going to keep it going. Hopefully the bottoms of my feet are clean. So we're going to alternate from the arch stretch into the top of the foot stretch. Okay, and remember, you can stay up kneeling and not sit on the heels if that is too much. Okay, keep it going, guys. We'll do a couple more. Cathy, this one, I can't hear you, but this one will be good for you after running. So if anyone's a runner, these are good stretches. Okay, last one here. Toes tuck, take a seat. Lift, and we're going to hold Virasana. This is the one where the toes are untucked and you take a seat. Now, if this is really challenging for you, a quick adjustment would be to put some props underneath your hips to give you a little bit of height. Blocks, pillows, blankets, household items totally work. If you're really uncomfortable in this position, just sit crisscross for the next couple moves. We're going to be taking a twist. So take the left hand to the outside of the right thigh, turn your chest to the right, and put your right fingertips on the floor to behind you, and spin your chest open to the right side of the room. My arms are too short for this. Okay, come through center. We're going to do the other side. So without moving the pelvis at the ribs, twist left. Right hand grabs the outside of the left thigh, left fingertips to the floor. Seems like my left arm is longer because it touches the ground. Who knows? Use your arms to help facilitate the twist. So I'm really pulling against my left thigh with my right hand. Good. Coming back through center. If you're still good, staying in Virasana. Heavy hips on the heels. Right arm's going to reach to the right. Left arm stretches up and over. Let's breathe in to the left side body. As you exhale, tighten your core, roll up through center, and we'll switch sides. Left hand to the mat. Right arm stretches up and over. Breathing into the right ribs. As you exhale, draw yourself through center. One more each way. Big breath over to the left. Exhale through center. Deep breath over to the right. And then rolling it all the way up. We're going to find one final shape to ground ourselves. So let's bring ourselves all the way down onto our back. You're going to lay with your feet hips distance and your knees knocking in. So I'm just showing it face on since I'll be sideways. So feet are really wide, knees knocked together, and then you're going to put one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest. So we're just going to take a couple rounds of breath to calm ourselves before we get into a little bit more of a structure conversation, which is coming up. So close your eyes. I want you to feel into the soles of your feet. So let's not be so wide with the knees that the bottom of the foot is lifted. So push your foot down, knees gently touch, and feel the breath move through your body. So you can use your hands as tactile cues to help you with that, especially if breathing is a little foreign to you or like more of controlled breathing. I hope regular breathing is not foreign to you. We all got to do it. But more of the focusing on the breath. If that's strange, use your hands and breathe into it. Move your body up into your hands as you inhale. And then as you exhale, you'll feel your body soften down away from your hands. We're going to take 3 breaths just like this. So you're going to inhale, fill the body up so you can feel your palms lift. And then as you exhale, the palms sink. Big breath in, belly, ribs, and chest. And then deep breath out, chest, ribs, and belly. And taking a final breath in and breath out at your own pace. Good. And then let's just gently draw the knees into your chest or any shape that feels good to you. Give yourself a squeeze. And then we're going to slowly walk or rock ourselves all the way up. Oh, I hope you guys feel alive or your feet feel alive after that practice. So thank you for joining me for a little spring flow. And we're going to switch back over to a conversation with Cathy.
Hi.
Hello.
Just real quick, that was so
Thank
perfect. And what we need to do right now is ground. We are dealing with a lot of fiery energy from Aries. So it's like you mentioned, you need a balance. And you did the perfect balance. It was amazing. I did the breathing at the end of my chair.
Good. I know when we were planning class and you had told me like the fire from the Aries immediately, that's what I went to grounding. I was like, okay.
All right. Take it away,
Cathy, you are up.
Thank you, Lindsay. That was awesome. I hope everybody's enjoying all the material. Kim, that was amazing. I have the pleasure of calling them friends and colleagues, which is awesome. So I'm here, even though I don't mean anything, but I am woo-woo out there. I picked the shirt for it. For astrology today. And I'm a big exerciser. I do some yoga, but I actually met Lindsay when I found her YouTube channel and I bought a mini trampoline and it is fantastic. And that's how we connected. But I did run a race this morning. Kim is correct. So if I'm a little thrown off, that's why, but it's over. It was only a 10K. You're right. It wasn't a marathon. So it was a lot of fun. It was sunny. Got to see my friends, but now I'm here. So my name is Dr. Cathy Hunter. I have been a practicing chiropractor for 28 years, which I cannot believe. And I always love helping people in my practice, but I also love helping people achieve all their dreams and desires because I know that's what life is about. You know, life is a big journey and a ride, but in my opinion, it's one turn in this body, if you will. So why not make it great and why not do what you really want to do? And we picked this for the astrological new year, which was the spring equinox, which was March 20th. So happy new year. And, when we were putting this all together, we were thinking about New Year's resolutions and why they fall off. Well, there's a lot of reasons, but, we thought, well, you might as well work with the energy of the spring equinox and the astrological new year because, hey, like Kim said, let's work with that stuff in our daily lives. And if we can harness anything extra that we can to help us achieve our goals, then let's do it. So that's why we put this together. And in terms of the energy, you can use that really to start setting your path, and you can start building your foundation for success. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So what I've learned in my life, I've done a lot of things. I've been successful in a lot of things. I've also been not successful in a lot of things. And I've also learned that you have to try things, and sometimes they don't work out, and that's okay. It honestly is better to try and have it not work out. Sometimes you didn't really want it anyway, or you get down that path and go, ooh, this isn't for me. But if you don't try, you never figure that out. But one thing about success, you have to have structure and you have to have organization. And I've been through it in my life, and we'll get through. I'll tell you a few stories where I did not have structure, and guess what? I didn't succeed at those things. So when I was 16 years old, I decided I wanted to be a chiropractor. And that's a whole other story for another time. It had to do with running, and I got hurt. And basically a chiropractor fixed me, and I'm 54 years old and I'm still running today and pain-free, which is amazing. And I had some twists and turns in my path, but at age 23, after my undergraduate studies, I went to chiropractic school, and I went in Iowa at Palmer College of Chiropractic. Even though school wasn't easy, even in undergraduate, and that's where I went to Rutgers, that's back east. It's a structure. There's a system in school. Yes, you still have to go to class. You still have to take tests. You have to deal with other students and bureaucracy and all those things. But there's a structure. So I was learning that if you can tap into the structure and organize yourself, you can succeed. I wasn't valedictorian, but I did really well. And I got my degrees and passed my boards and all that stuff. And the last year of school in chiropractic school, we had clinicals, and that meant that you had to actually put your hands on real people, which is terrifying, being a chiropractor, because, before that you were adjusting students, and now you're like literally set out in the real world, except they would come to you. And so I was getting really sick of Iowa. No offense to anyone who lives in Iowa. Wonderful people. But I longed for California. I moved here actually first to go to chiropractic school, and then I transferred to Iowa. And so I got my taste, and being from New Jersey, I wanted to go to California since I was a 9-year-old. So I was really sick of the weather. And for my last year of school, we were in trimesters. That would be my clinicals. And in clinicals, you had a certain amount of requisites. You had to have adjustments, physiotherapy, exams, et cetera. And you had to have them done in the 3 trimesters. So then you would graduate. So I put on my thinking hat, and I found a loophole talking to other people. And the loophole was, if you finished all your credits in 2 trimesters, you could go do your last trimester and intern for a doctor of your choice. Now, of course, the doctor had to agree to want to have you as an intern, and you had to fill out a bunch of paperwork. And I had a dear mentor doctor, Dr. Richard Goal, in Glendale, California. He is now passed, RIP. And I had met him in California, and he had gone to my school. He was like a legend. So I thought, this is perfect. My second trimester will end in February, and then I am gone, and I'm going to California. So I talked to Dr. Goal, and he agreed, and we did all the necessary paperwork, and I was off to the races. So as you can imagine, sharing this with people in my class and other people in the clinic, they said to me, you can't do that. That's crazy. Most people don't even get their credits in the 3 trimesters, and you're going to do it in the 2 trimesters. And I don't know about you, but sometimes it's very motivating when people tell me I can't do something. Like, you do you, I'm going to do me. And when we got into clinic, we had to bid for clinicians. And I really, really wanted this Dr. Butler, and I got him. Oh my goodness. And we had like a little room, and it was our waiting area where we would come as student doctors and sit and wait for our patients to be called from the front desk, and we would get them. So I remember I walked in the first day. I saw Dr. Butler. I told him what I wanted to do. I said, hey, I'm getting out of here in 2 trimesters. Are you with me? And he just smiled and he said, absolutely, sure. And then I thought, I'm going to spend a lot of time in this room. I want to make it fun. So I went to Target. I bought one of those tea with the water, hot tea warmers, whatever, those kettles that you plug into the wall. And I got some mugs from home, and I bought a bunch of teas. So, I would have tea in there, and funny other students would come in. Hey, can I have a cup of tea? Sure, and we'd have old school coffee clutch. So we'd sit in there and drink our tea, and Dr. Butler, and we would talk. And, we learned a lot that way, and it was a lot of fun. So the other thing I did is I bought a day planner. Now, for some of you younger type, again, I'm aging myself. You may not know what that is. I'm not being obnoxious. I'm being serious. So it's basically a paper calendar. And I bought a weekly planner, and I literally calculated how many adjustments I needed, how many physiotherapy, how many credits I'm going to need in that 2 trimesters. I divided it by the weeks. So I would open up the calendar. At the end of the week, I would have my totals I needed, and then I would break it down daily into totals. See, I tend to see the world in logic trees. That's what my mind does. So that was like my map, my roadmap to this path I was on. And so every day I would put how many adjustments I had, how many physiotherapy credits. I would use a highlighter. I would draw fun pictures. I would make it really fun. I would write motivating things. And it's funny, I remember other fellow students would see me in there, and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm tracking. And they're like, oh my God, like you're crazy. I'm like, am I? I said, no, I'm getting out of here. I'm freezing. I need to go to California. Enough with this. Enough with this. So anyway, and the weeks went by, and I was focused. I was determined, but I also had a lot of fun doing it, because that's a big part of what I teach people, is that you can have goals and dreams, and that's awesome. But if you don't make it fun, because sometimes it's really hard work. I mean, that was really hard. I don't know, I lose interest. And lo and behold, the miracle happened. I finished in 2 trimesters, and off I was. And funny, another little story, when I was in the middle of my clinicals, there was a tornado. So if you know the Midwest, that happens. And I happened to be home because I was going to go to clinic later in the evening, and it got really dark. This is before cell phones, okay? So it got really dark, and I knew there was a storm coming, and I heard the siren, and I thought, oh my God, what do I do? So I went in our basement. We had a pool table. I dove under the pool table. I don't know if that's good, but anyway, and I just sat under there. And then I literally just waited it out, and then it didn't seem noisy anymore because it was windy and it was rainy, and I didn't hear the sirens. And I ran upstairs. I looked outside. The sun was out. It was really weird. And branches, debris everywhere. So I called the school, and I said, I have patients. I have patients tonight. I have to go in. They said, well, we don't have any power. And I thought about it. And I thought, okay, there's a long hallway to all of the rooms, and there's windows, and there's lots of light. I said, Dr. Butler, can I drag the adjusting table into the hallway and adjust my patients? He goes, he thought it was a crack up. He said, okay, go for it. So I get to school. I'm like wading through, everyone's talking of the drama. I get it. I love some drama, but focus. So I dragged the table out, and I literally started adjusting my patients, and they loved it because they were there. They're like, I'm here for my adjustment. And slowly I'm watching everyone drag their tables out, and it was super fun. And another thing I learned about that structure that I did with the planner and making a nice area in the room is that my mind was opening up to all these other ways I could get more credits, legit, but get more credits. And one of them was all the people that were ahead of me in school, like about to graduate, where were their patients going to go? they had to hand them off. You had to do a little schmoozing, but they were in my little pod there, and I would make friends with them and say, hey, can I come observe? And honestly, I wanted to learn. So I would go learn, and, when they graduated, so I had 2 semesters of them graduating, they would hand me over their patients. I got a lot of new people like that. And then one day I'm in the little office, and Dr. Butler was like, hey, you want to come observe me? And that would happen from time to time. A clinic doctor would say, come observe me, and you would learn. He'd be adjusting a patient. So I walked in, I watched him. I'm like, cool. And he said, hey, give me your thing. I'm like, what? And he signed it. And I go, I didn't adjust. He goes, an observation counts as an adjustment. Perfect. So I would sit in there, drinking my coffee, my tea. If I didn't have anybody, I would just post up, and he would literally, he was with me. He was with the plan. So my mind really opened up. So like I said, very happy I got to finish. In my 2 trimesters, I bolted out of there in February, came to California, and it was a great internship. It was hard, but it was really good. Now, once I graduated and I realized I have to have my own business, even though I knew that, once I was in it, I didn't have structure. And I'll be honest, I struggled. I struggled for many, many years. And when I started to have success, I put in organization, I put in systems, and I put in structure. I learned from a lot of people. Let me tell you, I've hired a lot of coaches in my time, but it was all worth it because slowly that got me to where I go. And like I said, I sometimes can't believe I've been practicing for 28 years. But I'm a perfect testament that if you just stick to things, you can make it work. And that's the bigger thing too. What's my not so secret key to success? And I believe really anyone who does something successful, it is literally consistency. What I feel is that people don't stick with things long enough, so they don't see the cumulative effects, the results, right? Say you're trying to lose weight. If you keep with your diet and exercise for a week, you're probably not going to see much, right? And then people, they give up. I get it. It's hard. Trust me. Try getting older. It gets challenging, right? But if you have a plan and you stick to it, because everyone gets thrown off their path. Don't think I've never got thrown off my path. I have. But when you have that structure in place, you can literally pull yourself back into the plan and start gaining those cumulative effects. So you start seeing the results, and that gives you the motivation to want to keep going forward. And that's the secret sauce, the consistency. And then you get the motivation, and you want to just keep doing better and better. We all know people, especially, I love the losing weight aspect because everybody I think has gone through that at some point. When people are really excited about losing weight because they look in the mirror, they feel good about themselves, they're sleeping better, they're wearing those clothes they haven't in a long time. It's intoxicating. It's literally, it motivates you, it inspires you. So it's really about that structure to keep you on the path when you get thrown off, because you will, and also making it fun. And that's what I'm all about. I wanted to write a book, no kidding, for about 20 years. I always say if I die one day, people are going to find these little rantings of writings all over and think, oh my God, this one. But it wasn't till COVID, interesting, because I had more time. It wasn't till COVID till I applied this formula and I actually did a structure, and I published my first book. And I wrote and self-published. That was a whole other thing. So actually, it's been almost a year. It was April 11th, 2024. So this is my book, 5 Degrees to Your Future. I'll talk about, you can find it on Amazon, or you can find that. I wanted a podcast for years. Same thing. Keep thinking about it. That's great. When I applied this formula, I actually didn't. I think now I'm in my 3rd year in my podcast, and it's a lot of fun. Kim and Lindsay were all guests, which is fantastic. So literally, you can do this too. Anyone can do it. And you can do it on your own. And that's part of what we're doing today. So I know Lindsay's going to leave the link. I have a free PDF. It's an Achieve Any Desires guide. And it's basically based off one of the last chapters in my book when I break down that formula. And this is something you can use over and over again for any goal. So make a copy, keep a master, and you can write it down, whatever. But it really is very simple. Now you still have to do the work, but the structure, that is what you need to get you through everything. So I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties on that, so I'm going to apologize up front. I hope this means nothing. So you'll click the link when Lindsay gives it, and I'll give you that free PDF. If for some reason there is a problem, just reach out to me, send me an email. It's Dr. Hunter, DrHunter, at the5degrees.com. All written out, TheFiveDegrees.com. And I will get it to you, I promise. The other thing I wanted to offer too is I do consistency coaching. So it's really, some people need more help with their goals. Like I said, I've hired tons of coaches in my life, and you can do it on your own. But if you want to check out maybe how I can help you and have a conversation, if you go to my website, the5degrees.com, at the upper left, it'll say consistency coaching. Just click on it. It'll bring up an email prompt. Send me an email, tell me what's going on, and let's start a dialogue, and let's see if I can help you. So I hope this was valuable. I hope you enjoyed my story, and I'm glad school's over. So anyway, thank you, Lindsay. That's all I have for today, and thanks for signing in.
Thank you guys so much. This was awesome, even on my end, being a part of this. I felt like I got a lot, learned a lot from you guys today. Yeah, thank you so much. And I love how you're talking about making it fun. I'm just relating it back to what I do here on YouTube. Is I think that's the feedback I get a lot with the workouts is I try to keep them fun, period. Like I just try to keep it different and interesting. And that's how I stay consistent, specifically with fitness, is keep it fun, mix it up, you know? So I think, you know, and that can be applied to other areas of your life, just like you were saying, like you can apply all of this to any goal. So love that.
Keep the joy.
Keep the joy. Like if you have
gotta keep the joy.
If you gotta move your body to be healthy, like you don't have to dread it. Find something you like.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, you guys, this was amazing. And for everybody watching, I wrote all of their information in the description below. So you can find Kim and Cathy there. And they both offer some services that you can work with them. They both have free PDFs you can check out, I think by just adding your email, and all of the information is below. So be sure to check that out. You can also send us a comment. And I can send it if it's for Cathy or Kim. If you have any questions, I can send it their way. If you have one for me, I'm right here. So I hope everybody has a fabulous rest of their spring. And thank you, ladies, so much for joining me today. And perhaps we'll see you guys on the next one.
Yeah. Perhaps. Sounds good. Summer solstice.
There we go.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.